Hey guys, it's Amy from Jerry's Live. Welcome to our 150th episode here from our stay-at-home stay here in my home studio. I know you guys have been really awesome and put up with some of the quirks of filming just filming from home from a camera, which has had a lot of interesting quirks, but we thank you very much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for continuing to tune in. And again, it's our 150th episode, which is really crazy and kind of sad that we're here with no staff, just surrounded by the mess from so many shows that we've done. But next week, never you worry, we are going to be in the studio. We have come up with a plan for how to safely film from there. The moderators will probably be remote, but we're going to bring the show back to you in 4K because I know that it's been kind of trying for all of us. So we've come up with a way to do it where we can be kind of safe and away from the rest of the building and just three of us in the filming studio, and we've got plenty of room there to do that. So next week we'll be back, but for this week, we will continue through this Thursday to do live content with me. So this Thursday at 5:30 will be our last live content from my home studio. So welcome. Today's episode, we're going to be working with Cezanne colored pencils, the new formulation. It's a set of 120 pencils, which are very nice. Way more colors than the set of 72. The formulation's even smoother and creamier than before. Really nice range of all sorts of kind of those nuanced colors that are really hard to find, even in other sets of 120. They've got some really nice darks, just some very nice kind of paled colors. So I picked a natural subject matter, which we'll look at in just a minute, to kind of show some of those more enhanced colors that you're not going to find in the majorities of the sets out there on the market. So, and we can have kind of a dialogue about the pencil brand itself. I know we've done shows with them before. We've showed artwork with them before, but this kind of has an even better range and is really fun. So we will kind of talk about that while I'm working today. So if you're interested in the products, you're not sure where to find these pencils after you see them and you like them, you go to the jerrysartorama.com website. You type in the keyword JL150. That will bring up all of the items that I'm going to be using on the show today. There's not a whole lot of them, but there's a few. So, and that will just kind of give you an idea if there's something that you were curious about. It's listed right there. Okay. So anyway, this will be our last episode. The keyword's JL150. I'm Amy Gardner-Dean, your last time stay-home host, and then we'll be back to the studio. So I'm going to turn this around so we can go ahead and get started because an hour is not like a long time to do this. I'll quick show you the pencils really fast. Again, until I put this on the clamp to do the artwork, I'm holding this with my hot little hand. So it might be a little wiggly. Just bear with me. I'm going to show you the color chart real quick, show you the pencil box, and then we'll get started. So I'm going to flip this. All right. So this is the color chart that I did today. Now, keep in mind, I had another color chart and we had to switch papers because the paper I was going to be using for the actual demo was out of stock. So thankfully I had a pad of something different. We're going to be using the Legion Stonehenge Colors pad with kind of a smooth, kind of an eggshell white. So I did just a really quick color chart today. So you can see some of these very nice nuanced colors here that when you push down really hard, you can get some bright color out of them, but they're very kind of nice, soft values up until then. Lots of nice, really dark colors. Went on the paper even smoother and creamier than the original Cezanne pencils. It doesn't take a lot of push with the Stonehenge. It glides on really nice and smoothly for a wax-based pencil, but even with as hard as I was pushing, I wasn't getting a lot of bloom, which that was something that you could get with a lot of applications of the other. So I'm really excited to try this out on a regular artwork and see. The set's really nice. It's got a great, really heavy-duty tin. Like a lot of other sets, it's got the trays, but it has 3 full sets of colors. You can kind of pinch it and pull them out. I'm just going to go ahead and take them out because I will need them to be all out while I'm working. You can see those nice nuanced colors. There is a legend in the lid. They did it by number instead of name. I know a lot of people are like, but I need to know what's geranium rose. You don't need to know what geranium rose is because a lot of times colored pencil manufacturers actually label these in colors that they think are more like paint, and then they're not. And if you're a painter and they've named them so that it seems like they're kind of a trade name color and then they're not, it actually is more confusing. So in making this color chart, I was looking at it and I really liked there not being an emotional attachment to a name, if that makes sense. So I thought it was better. So they've got numbers on them so you can distinguish, what from what. So if you work with a lot of colors and you sometimes leave yourself a little written legend of I used this color, this number, that color, whatever, you've got the ability to do that. Okay. So just so you know, that's the way this is. So I'm going to flip this back around. All right. So we've got a cute little rock. It's a piece of limestone that I've been working on a carving for ages that kind of got left by the wayside. I actually want to dig that out eventually and do some bronze work with it. I've got some wax. I was going to do a bronze carving. This is, I had to put this in. This is an adorable little heart rock that our photographer, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, gave me. We used to give each other weird Valentine's Day stuff. So the little heart rock has to go in this. And then that is a little neck vertebra from I'm not sure what. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So you can see much kind of softer nuanced colors are going to be set for this. So this is what we're going to go with. So let me get this set up. All right, Katie is with us today being the moderator. I'm gonna get this kind of further in so you can really see the two. Now, just so you know, this is a mount, so it may slowly move. I'm gonna set my screen over here so I can kind of see if this does anything, but we'll kind of get ready to go with this. We are using Stonehenge Colors, which is a Legion brand paper, but Stonehenge is a fantastic printmaking paper, but it's also, for most people, like in the Colored Pencil Society of America, it is a very reliable and sought after colored pencil paper. It's got just enough tooth, but it's smooth, and especially with wax pencils, it just attaches very, very nicely to the surface. Kind of that nuanced surface that's beautiful for ink for absorbing is perfect for that. Amanda's there too, Katie said. So we have them both in the house. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Katie and Amanda. All right. So see, we're not alone for our 150th episode. So, all right. So let's push this up just a little bit more so it can kind of slip down. Hopefully I won't funk it with my head. We've got our color chart over here if we need it. I've got the Marie's 4B eraser, which is my kind of eraser of choice for most mediums. It does really well with charcoal. You can see I've been using it for regular pencil, but it works great with colored pencil. I accidentally marked my page when I dropped it on the floor earlier and put a dent in it, and luckily that lifted it right off. So I've got a leaning bridge in case I need it, just an acrylic leaning bridge. We'll see if we do or not. I'm just gonna stick this off to the side in case I do need it. So let's go ahead. You guys are going to see a little bit different version here of this because you're seeing it at a different angle than I am. So just be aware of that fact. I'm going to start with something darker, probably darker than I normally would, but I want you guys to be able to see this. So I'm going to start with one of the grays. It's number 106. I probably better put my reading glasses on so I can see this. So just kind of sketch that rock out that we've got it sitting on. I'm going to make it nice and large so it's easier to see. The rock's pointy down here. It's like an egg that someone kind of slowly melted. Don't even remember where I got this piece of limestone, to be quite honest. I've had it for like 30 years and apparently don't finish a lot of projects. I'm like Da Vinci. I don't finish a lot of projects because I'm always busy with other things. All right, I like this little rock with that kind of little divot there. You can't see that it's a heart in this, but I'm just doing it because I know what it is and I'd like to just kind of put this in here. All right. Now we can lift any of that we want with an eraser, but it's okay. It should be pretty much hidden in the drawing. We'll see kind of where we want that to be. So I'm gonna just quick kind of ghost in some of these little spots in my rock, just so I've already got them there. These don't have to be specific. You can be as technical as you want. If you want to grid things out, that's fine, but that's not, for a demonstration, something we're doing quick, that's not, these holes are kind of irrelevant. Just knowing that they're there and making the rock look porous is all my worry is for right now. This isn't some grand scientific illustration that we're working on, so. And because anybody that works in colored pencils knows colored pencils take a while. This is not a medium for the impatient. I would suggest coloring books if you are an impatient artist, because colored pencil is not going to be your cup of tea if you are not kind of relaxed with the layers and layers. 'Cause sometimes you need to layer the same color a couple times really slow so you don't see those pencil marks. So this is not going to be finished within the show itself. All right, now this is where I'm going to take this and pull that out because we've got to put that on there. And I'll try to catch questions as they go along. The girls may have to text me because the comments kind of disappear here and there. And what we're using today, if you guys have just caught up with us, we are using the new Cezanne 120 set. It's their Superior Artist Colored Pencil set. They've had a set of 72. This is just expanding that color line, and the formulation's a little different. It's a little creamier. It's juicier. If you've used Prismacolor in the past, like I have, and really been frustrated with kind of how they've gone down in quality over the years, and has a lot to do with they've changed manufacturing locations a few times. I first started using them in the late 80s, and they were, kind of the premium pencil at the time. And then a lot of things changed, and they're not. The biggest problem with them was, and still is, and I've been working out of the home studio, so I'm feeling a little more honest about things today. With the Prismacolor, they're not bonded in the lead, okay? The leads are here, your color inside, right? It's good to have like a cedar or another hardwood to hold it, because it helps kind of really make sure that lead stays put when you're sharpening it. You don't break the leads. This is a nice, big, thick, I think it's a 3.3 millimeter lead. And then the casing itself, they actually coat that lead with glue when they put the casing around it. So if you drop it, which everybody has pencils that roll off and drop, your pencils sometimes will, if it's a bad drop, will break right up inside the thing. If it's not bonded, if it's not glued together, as you sharpen, little pieces are going to keep falling out, and then you sharpen back and you start to work and it wobbles and that piece falls out, and then the piece falls out, and then the piece falls out. That is a colored pencil artist's absolute nightmare, is when that happens and you can't control it at all. And that has been my biggest beef with Prismacolor. Just that why that small change would be mean all the world, even if it makes the pencils a little more expensive. To me, that's worth it, the customer satisfaction of it. So that's something that is a hallmark of of a colored pencil company, A, that really cares, and then B, that's making it specifically for artists, for the satisfaction of artists that are working artists. So that's something to consider when you're researching colored pencils and trying to find kind of the right brand for you. That is a hallmark of a very good colored pencil. Okay, so that's something that's important. That harder wood is important. A color end that's dipped where it's got the same color as the lead, so that these are almost the exact same colors as with the color chart. This is the light coat of the pencil if you're putting that first coat down, rather than it just being kind of that amalgamy of, well, it's close, right? So that's a really good thing as well, because for some people it's an easier way to pick them out of the box than have to take the extra time to run the legend kind of in your head, or the numbers, search for the number. So that's a handy thing. Also, that's a lot of lead inside the pencil with that 3.3 millimeter lead. So you're getting a lot more kind of mileage out of your pencil for having that wider lead to it. Also, in using these over and over, I will say another thing that I know that Prismacolor had problems with in the past, because I'd gotten a hold of a couple pencils, was where you're coloring along and all of a sudden you keep getting this other color, and I was not sure where it was coming from and thought it was just me, and that I'd picked something up, and it was actually something in the lead where something had gotten in the batch, and that was something where I'd found it happen a couple times, which it's not that it's just a little bit of, it happens time to time, some quality control. So and I know that I haven't heard about that happening in a good while. That was probably 7 years ago that I was using some and saw that happening. So but for the price that these are, let me get my duster brush. Sorry, I accidentally set the drawing board up and the brush is sitting behind it. These are a fantastic, thank you, April, that's a feather. A fantastic price point for the performance of these pencils. And so you can see it erases really nice, that little bit of erasing that I kind of did there. Just getting my kind of shadow in here. You could do either gray on the bottom for the, I put a t-shirt just to kind of cover I don't even know, like a plastic cigar box. For some reason, somebody's put some cigars in my studio. Okay. All right. And you could do the wood color behind it. Those are nice colors together. So it was just two solid colors that I had, a box and then that. But they also kind of go nicely with this. It enhances kind of some of the colors in that rock. So that's kind of I put them together probably subconsciously as the mindset that those would be very nice together. All right, so this will square up when we get to that. And we can kind of tweak it and make some. April's feathers are everywhere. If you hear squawking, hopefully she's been placated with a potato chip, a big potato chip before the show. But April is my studio chicken, my sulfur-crested cockatoo. So she's may give her opinion after a while, when she realizes that her music isn't on, but she may actually behave. Who knows? All right, so I'm just kind of putting in a little bit of color just so I can kind of, it's easier to gauge where, these won't be the final colors, but where my little holes in the rock are. So then I can kind of start working from there. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep an eye on the... Someone said to draw faster. That's really, as nice as that would be, not quite how this works. And this is a really good test of, I know that may be frustrating, this is a really good test of what a quality colored pencil is. Can you do an underdrawing with it? Are you going to have to do it with pencil and put fixative on it so that graphite doesn't lift up? Will it erase decently on a good quality cotton paper like this? This is something that's important for people that are looking for colored pencil. I'm all for that. I know that this is entertainment value for people, but for those who are getting a product education, we definitely, this is as important of a part for you guys as is just the layers and the color. Okay. See, getting some of these spots in just so we kind of know where they are. So as we do color over the rock. Somebody asked which pencil I'm using. 106. Yeah, and this is the lightest of that Stonehenge Colors pack. This is, excuse me, I think it was maybe the eggshell color. It had them in order, but it didn't have them listed, and I just grabbed the lighter ones so it'd be easier to see for the demo. The darker ones looked nice. I really liked them, and it would have been fun to play with, but they did not show up as well under lights with pencils on them for the beginning stages, so we had to kind of go with this instead. The thing on top of the rock, Carol, is a little, like, I think it's a neck vertebra, and I don't know where it came from. I have a collection of all sorts of findings, and there's little bird skulls, and I've found, like, deer and dog skulls, and, having lived in the country, I started a collection. Empty turtle shells, where the turtle was, long gone, and just the shell is left. I've got a whole bunch of kind of interesting things. So it's a limestone, a piece of limestone that I have plans for someday as a bucket list item, doing a sculpture with, and then just some kind of little fun shapes of the that little bone on top. Okay, so we get let's go with a little bit kind of brown or gray than this. Let's see. I'm gonna do 77. Without you guys having it in front of you, the numbers are sort of irrelevant, but if you've got the set at home, I guess that'll help. I'm gonna go ahead and put the shadows in under this. I'm sorry if it's really loud in the mic. If I'm really close, I'm trying to not talk quite so loud. Okay. Now this comes, but there's light coming through, so I'm just gonna very lightly tap that kind of in. And a nice thing about Stonehenge is you can either kind of use it to color kind of along it, or you can actually, as you work with cross hatching or just hatching to do your shading. It will take that pretty easily. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in over here, and then whatever color I choose that's darker to go behind it will Just taking that little bit of edge off that I don't need. Don't rub with the greasy hand. There we go. All right, and that same 77, I'm gonna put, just kind of enhance the rock down here as well. We'll work on that rock last, or just not even get to it. I just want it to be in there so we've got it for our composition. It's a little crack kind of right in that section of the rock. And just so you guys can see what very light, kind of making little circular motions to kind of just color in where I want that shadow to be. So then it's there. Very few colored pencils erase this nicely. That's a huge thing for me, because then I don't have to take so much time with that underdrawing. I can actually just kind of whip it out like I did there. Okay. All right, so at least we kind of have a shadow. It's there, it looks a little more 3D. Let's work some on... Julie asked if Jerry's has this brush. This is a super, super, super old Hake brush. I don't even know if they make these like this anymore. This brush is from college. I've had it for so long. And it's grungy and disgusting, and there's holes and stuff in it that goodness only knows what has been harbored in this for, 30-something years. So I would just use a regular Hake paddle brush. It would have a little bit longer stem and not quite as much fluff, because that tends to pick up and move a lot of stuff if it's a dustier item. Just any of the modern Hake brushes would work well and would not kind of get so mashed and matted down as this, but that brush is just it's like a sidekick. Now it's like a pet. I depend on the brush. I like familiar things, and that's my kind of familiar item. Okay. Katie says you guys are asking about erasers, and I'm not sure what erasers you're talking about. This is the Marie's 4B soft eraser. I've found that this works. It's probably the best eraser we carry, in my opinion. That the vinyl erasers are pretty good too for colored pencils. The 4B works really well with, especially if you've got oil and wax pencils. Oil pencils are really hard to erase, and this will even work as long as you've not really pushed it into the paper. It will lift most of an oil pencil mark. Not all of it. Obviously, you're going to have a little bit of ghosting, especially with some of the soft papers, but it's probably the one eraser that most gently lifts things off the paper with all drawing mediums. I think that I've used literally every eraser we've had. My favorites are this 4B, and Tombow makes some stick erasers that have a tiny, tiny little eraser kind of bit that goes down in a handheld barrel, almost like a mechanical pencil, but it's thicker, right? It's not an art gum eraser. Those things are disgusting. It's almost like if an art gum eraser and a vinyl eraser, like the Vanish erasers, had a baby, but it's not. It's really hard to explain. It's not that kind of gross gummy feel and crumbly feel, but it's also not that shininess of the vinyl eraser. They're important enough to me that anytime I put an order in, because I usually will provide them to students for drawing classes, I will put in multiple ones, and I've got probably 30 or 40 in a container that I have bought myself, but that's just how much I like the erasers, in that it's the perfect eraser for especially students that are heavier handed, where they just really draw too hard on the paper, and so it will lift most everything, even with somebody that's drawing very hard. And it works really nice with charcoal pencils. So that's really my my eraser go-to. All right, so let's get, there is a really nice brown and there is a little bit of black. So I'm gonna work with both of these. I'm guessing this is more like a sepia. It's number 019, so 19. I'm gonna kind of put in some of these really, really dark areas to make this kind of pull forward. Now it just looked like I was just kind of ghost scribbling in before, but look how all of a sudden that really is starting to make those look like holes and really drop those back. I'm not outlining it. I'm only putting marks where it's the super darkest. Okay. Now obviously some like these are gonna have a lot more dark than others. Stonehenge has not been, I love Stonehenge for drawing, but it's not been one of my favorites over time for colored pencil because the texture of it's kind of soft. But these wax pencils don't, like, they go on so smoothly that they don't, like a lot of times with the softer paper, you really have to push to get the pencil to kind of come off. And these actually attach to it really nicely, and it doesn't take much pressure at all, which is a huge thing for colored pencil because it helps leave enough, it deposits enough where it starts building up the color really nicely, but you're not mashing the paper down where then it's not going to accept other layers, because that's a huge problem with colored pencils and paper, and how many layers will this take? And with these pencils you can get, because of how smooth they are and how nicely they release, you can really get a really good application without a lot of pressure. Come back to that big hole in just a second. Some of these holes go back pretty far. I don't want to make them too deep and dark, but we do need to make them not deep enough where it's obvious that they're. Come back in a minute to them and kind of add a little bit of color to the rest of the whole kind of the lighter part, because some light is reflecting in some of these spots with a little bit of kind of a pinkish orange. And because of the type of limestone that this is, it's got a lot of that in the colors. So we're gonna kind of start playing with some of that color and pinkening this stone up some. Okay, this area's got kind of a deeper little crack there that I can see. You guys see it from a little different angle, so just trying to kind of, it's got some scrapes. You can see where it's got some scrapes where I've actually taken a rasp and scraped it. So that's something where I can go back towards the end of this and kind of add in some of those scrapes. Let me go back to my 77 pencil here for just a minute. This is the second color I used that's a little kind of more of a kind of a more yellowy gray. Okay, sepia. Okay. All right, so let's find, I've got the black still in hand. We'll add some to those holes in a minute. Let's find one of these kind of more of a kind of a salmon-y orange color maybe. This is 35, let's see, 74. Oh yeah, that's the one I want. Okay. They're both similar, but this is a little different. All right. I'm gonna go back over this with gray. But I want to get that kind of pinkish undertone. And I've got it on its side, and I'm almost using it like you would a pastel pencil. These are soft enough where it's just coming off really nicely. It's not leaving streaks, which is something that you tend to get a lot with. That's what, when people ask, what does that larger lead mean? It's a nice size. You can use it on its side. The thinner leads don't give you as much kind of body to make that flatter point with working. Sorry, that's my fingernail. The pencil is not scratchy, it's my finger. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of this in here. I'm pushing a little bit harder to leave a little bit more because that's a darker area. See how that warms up that color? I can put it on all of it, but I'm just putting it on some of it. And this really kind of looks like it comes around here, more in the shadows. Probably some of the light bouncing off that that wood also is kind of adding some reflected color. So I'm gonna bring that around, push a little harder because it's a little brighter back there. See how this is starting to give that kind of three-dimensional look, and you guys are seeing it from a different angle than I am, unfortunately, to be able to get the still life set up with being here at home. Sue is asking, it looks like she just joined us, and I can see about 5 comments at once. She asked if these break easily. They don't. Everybody that has ever watched our show that knows how much Amy drops things, and then sometimes Katie does, but Amy's really the good one for that. I've had a set that I've dropped twice on the floor, and I've not had any problems with them. Even just breaking where they're broken kind of in the barrel and stick in the barrel still. But I've not had problems with them yet, which is pretty unusual for me and for just a colored pencil brand in and of itself. Now, this is going to have more shadows in there that are going to be colder, but I want that color to kind of wrap around so that when I put that light cooler gray on, it's not as peachy. It'll kind of fade in, but you can see kind of some of that peachiness around all of these little kind of holes. And I'm sorry if this is kind of going in and out. I actually put it on Wi-Fi today to see if it would be if it would work a little bit better. I usually sit when I do colored pencil with the board kind of in my lap at an angle, not at this angle like this. And this is a shoulder killer, let me tell you. To have it, I never have anything up this straight, so it's almost like painting but with pencils where you've got to apply more pressure. And we know how I am about shoulder braces and shoulders. Okay, the best here. Okay. Let's see how nice and subtle that color is. This is like when you're pushing and pushing it. The end is when you've got that color really pushed down really hard. That's how well those match, which is very unusual. So that's how dark I could get that, but this is how nice and kind of nuanced that color can be when you're just using it very lightly. Now up here, I only see a little bit right in here from that cast light of that wood. So I would definitely go in and take this and do an edge where I would bring that and do that color behind it, because it's going to help this make a lot more sense as I go along. I can even see a little bit of that. As long as I've got this color out, because I'm not taking time to write down what I'm using, we're going to go ahead and put that cast light on there. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put a little bit down here underneath for where my shadow is going to go, just so I've got some down there. See how that little bit's already really rounding that rock out. All right, so now with that, there is also a little bit of kind of a tannish brown in there. Let me see what I really like the color of. There's a couple colors that really seemed like they would be helpful for this. 18. Next one. Yep. How many over am I? 18 should be 2 back. There we go. Sorry. Seeing just close enough for no reading glasses, but then the pencil box is way too close. Okay, so this is 18. We're going to kind of come around here and fill in some more of this other color to give it kind of another warmth in some of these places. So it starts standing out because it's a very, very subtle stone, and we're gonna pump a little bit of the color up of it and really make these even more noticeable. I'm not gonna put them everywhere, just where I can kind of see that little bit where that color is gonna help. Check comments again. Must not think of chocolate or puppies. Oh, that's funny, Trina. Okay, Becky just asked something. We better use colored pencils on a board lying at an angle on a book. Or should you be higher like you are here? That's what I was just talking about. This is too angled for how I would normally work. Because I'm having to, I've got to have it up so you guys can see. This would be better if I was actually standing. So I would have it at an angle, probably with the board kind of on my lap and then laying on the table at an angle and then the pencils to the side. For me, that's just how I like to do colored pencil. So it's a little bit of an angle, but just, this is definitely, this wouldn't be the way that I'd recommend to do it. This is a little uncomfortable, but unfortunately this is, you know, we show stuff we got to show stuff in specific ways so that it's at least where you can see it. So this is kind of part of that. Okay. See, we're starting to get kind of that, those holes are darker. Okay. I'm going to switch to the black to really get the darkest dark in a couple of these, just in a couple places where I can really see the darkness fall away. Okay, we don't want to over darken that. We don't want to darken the entire hole. We just want to do it where it's going to be the deepest and darkest so that you know that those holes go in a lot further. And like we've talked before on some of our drawing classes, I'm looking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I want to make sure that I'm getting this accurate. I'm not just drawing what I think, because otherwise that starts looking like all kind of the same thing. I want to draw exactly what I know, and that may slow you down a little bit, but that small bit that's going to slow you down is going to pay you huge dividends in how much better your drawing is. Okay. This would have been a good tricky texture episode because it's some tricky texture. There's very little of the dark up here. All right, so I think we've got pretty much all of those kind of in there. Missed these two with the other texture. Okay. All right, see how that's kind of starting to give us that look. I'm going to pick up another brown that's a little bit tanner. Let me see what we got here. 21, 86. What color was this? 19. Okay. 6 was so many over. Okay. I'm going to start putting a little bit more tan on this rock. Just, it's kind of a grayed brown almost. So I'm going to start working on some of these lines in the shadow. And getting some of the planes that I can see here. I'm using lines to do it very gently, but so soft that you really can't tell that's what it is that I'm doing. But I need to start kind of really finely pulling this edge out. All right. Also need to get my little shadows under here. There's actually a little shadow under that vertebra where the light's coming through it. Let's get that black because that's darker. We don't want it to be jet black. We don't want to make it so that it looks like a outline, but we do want it to be dark enough where it makes that little bit pop forward. Sometimes it's just about the really, really soft touch of it, not, which again is why people are like, hurry, just draw fast, go. This is why this isn't your medium. See, already dropped some on the floor. Okay, let's see which one I did drop because I'm probably gonna need it. All right. All right. Which one did I have? The 18 was the last one. 86 is the last one I picked up. All right. Just want to make sure I had the right one. Okay. Yeah, some of these lines I'm kind of leaving in to give that kind of cross-hatched look of the where the stone's been kind of worked on with the rasp and such. Probably a sure form. There's some little other kind of texture spots I didn't catch, so I'm just gonna kind of pop those in there as I go. Going ahead and making that a nice dark line because that's going to be where my shadow is. I want it to be that warmth so that it helps bend the mind, kind of eyeing that so that they see that as kind of the bottom of that side for the rock. Thank you, Tina, for the happy 150th. There's no cake. I feel like there should be cake. You know? there should be cake or champagne or something. All right. And we do have the winners of Smosh Art too that we will give at kind of at the end of this. Let's go just a little bit longer, and then we'll have those Smosh Art winners. I hope that everybody that did the Smosh Art had fun. That was a very not... All right, Chloe, we don't need to... Chloe woke up from her nap. She was running in the muddy yard earlier. Smosh Art was definitely not in my wheelhouse, but it was actually kind of weirdly relaxing and fun. Not something I expected that I was gonna kind of have a good time with. I think other than my frustration at some of the colors that I thought would be good choices and then didn't end up kind of working with the groupings that I did, it was actually a pretty cool, fun experience. So all right. Now, this is a very challenging subject. I'm not sure why I picked it because, you know, I think I should have gone with something that was a little more fluff for this episode just because. But this is actually like drawing rocks. It's kind of fun. All right. So I'm going to do some lines kind of through this part. See how that's starting to kind of look like those lines on the rock. Looks like everybody's... Kathy McIntyre asked if it's watercolor pencils. Not watercolor pencils. And then I see somebody else has asked about the light fastness ratings. They're still getting those finalized, so I don't know what to tell you on that. They'll be posted to the website when we do have them. But I don't have them in hand now. That's something that, obviously, because they're doing light fast testing, takes a while to do. So, but check the product page. They put those on the product pages with the color charts and stuff when that kind of stuff is offered by companies. So. Okay, the shadow kind of comes like this and kind of stops right up under these rocks. So I'm just using those lines. It's okay to use those lines as long as you use them kind of in the contour of the rock. It will help kind of give that, even though you don't see the lines the way I'm doing it, it's giving the viewer... It helps mentally bend the shape for them. It's just a subconscious trick. I'll probably come back in here with a little bit of blue-gray. A very cool blue-gray. This almost looks kind of bluish to me. And hit those a little bit in there, around there. This actually is not going to need a lot of work. It's just taking... There's a cream kind of pencil. That's 118, and then there's a 047 that shows so many colors in the set. How many? Oh, I'm not sure what you're saying, Tina. This is the color chart though. That's 120 colors. That's just lots of colors. And ridiculous amounts of green. If you do any, and pinks, if you do any floral stuff, the amount of greens, reds, and pinks is absolutely amazing. That's, I don't ever remember seeing that in a set. That's where they usually stiff you. And that's why this set is so nice, in that it's giving you lots of colors that the artists always say that they want, and then they aren't usually offered in those sets. Greens seem like a big one, especially if you want to do florals, you want to do landscapes. Even in portraits, it's got a lot of the really dark grade greens that you'll run into with needing for shadows. The same with some of the kind of blue violets and stuff, red violets that are deeper. So it's a very well thought out set. You can tell that they consulted a lot of colored pencil artists to, kind of what things are you not getting in other brands. So that it's giving you, out of 120 colors, it's giving you lots of usable colors, where a lot of sets you get, and yay, oh wow, look at all these colors. No, they're not usable colors. You can only take so many, like opera rose kind of things. Someone's asked if you could use the Chelsea lavender on the pencils. Becky, you can use solvents on colored pencils. With some of the wax ones, it's going to tend to make them more dull. I think it works much better with oils. But if you're using it and dry brushing it on very little bits at a time, it can help if you're wanting it to look kind of wetter and juicier. But it's not necessary. I know some people don't like kind of this drier look. They want it to look kind of softer, deeper, more like a watercolor. So it's something where you would just want to really kind of use it to experiment with it. Do a color chart of all the colors, try it with the solvent, dry brushed with it, heavier, dry brushed with it, with the lighter applications, to kind of see like it's, there. I just saw a really funny comment. Julie, that is true. Rocks look like rocks, but really when you start drawing them, there are a lot more colors in a gray rock. It's not a real gray rock. And that's why I, did this, because these are the colors you don't ever have, these kind of much milder, kind of lighter, more natural kind of yellows and browns and greens that are those lighter value colors in sets where you can do this kind of stuff. You either have to pick brighter stuff and figure out how to tone it down, or only use a lot of grays and it starts not looking realistic. So that's why this set is really nice. And I will finish this, and I'll put this in the Jerry's Live group. It may be a couple weeks, just because I know I've got some major testing turners coming out with their own acrylic line. And I'm doing the testing to kind of see how that compares. I'm really excited about it. The little bit that I've done with it, the color vibrancy is amazing. I love how it performs so far, but I need to kind of put it against other major brands. So it may be a week or two once we're back in the studio that I get this done, because it'll be probably on my own free time. That's funny. So anyway, so that's there. Now we've got the winners, and I'm gonna hold my phone up to show the pictures. There is a $500 e-gift card, a $250 e-gift card, and a $100 e-gift card up for grabs from the last contest. And this is the last one that we're doing. So third place goes to Jordan Towel from Providence, Rhode Island. And let me see if I can get this. Let me see if I can flip my phone to do that. Okay. This was our third place winner. It's really nice. It's like a nice impressionistic garden. So that is the $100 e-gift card. Let me switch back and see the second place. Second place is Raffia. I don't know if it's Butte or Butt. It's B-U-T-T. Hopefully I haven't butchered it. I'm sorry if I did. From Orlando, Florida. This is really awesome. It's Smosh Art, but then she did Zentangle around it. So it's very, it's got a lot of action and movement, and I love the colors. So that is second place. That was a $250 e-gift card. First place was Lisa Ford from Rock Hill, South Carolina. This one, if it does not do it justice from on the big screen. It's Smosh Art, but it looks like angelfish, maybe, and parrotfish and claws. It's very much like a sea scene. I love the colors and the movement for that. So that is our $500 e-gift card winner. So congratulations to the winners. Oh, there is another theme. I'm sorry. There's another contest. I'm glad that you sent that, Katie, because I didn't realize we had another one. That's awesome. So you got another week to do fun stuff, and this is Floral Week, guys. April showers, bring May flowers. That is... April is very unhappy about that because she's been out on the porch helping in the garden. She's got a cage on the porch, and apparently she doesn't like the rain. She was yelling at me when it started raining the other day. So don't tell her it's a floral show. It's all right, April. So she wasn't an art critic today, but not happy with the theme for next week. So anyway, all right. So hopefully this showed you a little bit about, it gave you some basic information about colored pencils, about what makes a good quality colored pencil, kind of talking about paper and how the texture accepts the pencil. You could see the great nuanced colors of this Cezanne set of 120. So good vibrancy, just those nuanced colors in between that are the ones that you're always trying to figure out how to lightly make with other colors that this isn't like pastels where you can kind of blend them on the fly. You're layering them over each other. A color that isn't the color you want is still not going to be the color you want, making it with colored pencils. And yes, you can blend with solvents, but that's still no guarantee. And it's not like acrylics where you can paint over it and start again. So that's the nice thing about a set like this, those nuances that give you a lot more color than a 120 color set usually does. So anyway, if you're a member of our Jerry's Live group, I will put this up in 2 weeks. Okay, that's a Facebook group. You have to have a Facebook page if you're not in the group, but you can make it private and you don't ever have to do anything with it. It just gets you access to the group. You will need to answer the question that is presented to you just to make sure that it's not like an automated sign up thing. So it's just all people that actually want to be there, artists. Once that's answered, they will admit you to the group. So, which is a wonderful place. And there's been lots of really awesome, people talking about frustrations with this time and how they don't feel creative. And then there's other people that have gone on this just creative, massive bend of artwork and exploration and people sharing ideas. It's just been a really awesome group. And I think it's very helpful and positive with just given our current situation, our state of affairs. So I will post it there in 2 weeks. Next week, we are doing a creative, fun little acrylic quick painting with a set that I can't remember what the cost of the set is right now, and my notes are covered with a drawing board that if I move is crashed down, but it's an incredibly inexpensive set. So if you've not gotten into acrylics and you are curious about it, it's a great way that gives you everything that you would literally need to open the box and go. I think I only put 2 extra brushes and some acrylic medium in with it because that does help if you want to thin your paints. So, yes, April, acrylic medium does. So anyway, But thank you guys for joining our 150th episode. I hope you learned a little bit. I will try to go back through this over the next couple days to answer any questions if I missed anything. But I know that the girls are really awesome at answering those questions for everybody. You guys stay healthy, take care of yourself, and we will safely see you in the studio next week. Okay? See ya. Bye-bye.